Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Choma of Choma Stitches, and today we are going to be making an Ankara corset top. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and start the drafting of this. I'm going to start with drafting a basic bodice pattern, and then I'm going to alter it to a corset. And I want to also welcome all the new subscribers that have joined the family. Thank you for coming, and I hope you learn and practice what you learn here. And for the old subscribers, thank you so much for sticking with me all this while. So let's get straight into the drafting of the basic bodice and the alteration, and also transferring to fabric, and finally sewing this beautiful corset dress. Make sure to watch the end of the video so that you can understand all the explanation that's going to be here. And I'm going to write out most of the explanations and some of the measurements that I'm going to be using for this drafting. So do well to pay attention and practice what you learn. And now I'm marking out the neckline, and to get your neckline you divide your bust measurement by 12. For this I am using 3 inches, and I'm marking out 3 inches by 3 inches for the front neckline and 3 inches by 1 inch for the depth. And then I'm using my ruler to connect the neckline to the shoulder slanting. For the back we are using 1 inch, and for the front we mark that 1.5 inch. To curve the armhole, I'm going up by 3.5 inches for the front, and I come in by half an inch, and then I connect it to the shoulder slanting, and then use my curved ruler to curve out the armhole. And for the back as well, I'm going up by the same 3.5 inches, and I'm coming in by half an inch as well, and I'm connecting it to my 1 inch shoulder slanting, and then I'm going to also use my curved ruler to connect that line. Okay, so now we've done the armhole. And now I am marking out from the shoulder to the bust line, and I'm going to mark it to the back part. And then I'm also taking out the difference between the front and the back measurement, which is 2 inches. This is gotten when you take your half length measurement for the front and also take for the back. You notice that the difference will always be there because of the bust that is in the front and is not at the back. Okay, that I am using the bust span, which is the nipple to the nipple measurement, and for this we have 4 inches. So I'm taking out the dart and I'm imputing the bust measurement and the waist measurement for the back as well. And then I'm going to go back to the front, and I'm going to mark out from the shoulder to the underbust measurement. I'm going to mark out the lines and I will connect it. And then I am also going to mark out the bust point, which is the nipple to the nipple measurement for the dart for the front. So this I'm using 4 inches as well, like I used for the back. I'm going to mark out the 4 inches, and then I'm going to also connect the line all the way to the top of the bust. And for the top of the bust I am using 7 inches, which is from the shoulder to the cleavage before the cleavage starts to show. And this line will now be my new chest line. Okay, so now let's connect the dart line. And then I mark out half an inch in the center of the front so that I can indicate where the cleavage is going to sit. It will help me direct me when I'm making out my curves. And I came down by 1 inch for the curving of the bust. Okay, and for the under bust I'm taking out 2 inches for the bust, and for the waistline I'm taking out 1.5 inches, and I'm connecting these two lines. I'm going to use my curved ruler to connect it to the bust point. For the side bust, I move away from the bust point by 0.25 inches to cut to mark it, and for the chest line I take out half an inch on both sides and I connect all the dart lines. From the chest line I go up by 1 inch and I connect it to the 1 inch I came down at the side front, and then I go up by half an inch to make sure it is not too revealing. Then I connect it to the 3.5 inches I went up at the armhole line. Okay, I connect my dart to meet up the new lines, and then I go on to return the 1 inch I took out for the darts. I return the 1 inch to the armhole side. This is important. Any measurement you take out, you have to return it so that your measurement will be complete. Then I impute the measurement of the bust at the armhole. Also from the 3.5 inches of the armhole, I curve down the new chest line of the back. From the center point at a 90 degrees angle, I go up by 1.5 inch and I use my curve ruler to connect it to the underbust. And then in the other opposite direction, I use my ruler to also connect it all the way to the armhole using my pencil to avoid making mistake. And then I go on to impute my measurements for the bust and for my underbust and for my waistline as well, and I connect it with my straight ruler. And then from the bust point I come down by 2 inches, which is the 2 inches difference we have at the back half length, and I connect it to the bust point. This is going to be the bust dart, so when I take out the dart, the side of the front and the side of the back will align. And then to fold in the bust dart, I had to first open up the dart in the middle so that I can fold in the darts comfortably, because if you don't open it, it will fold the whole paper. And now after taking out the bust dart, I had to now try to align all my lines that have not shifted. So I use my pin to hold down the dart that I folded in, and then I use my curved ruler to try and connect the side lines, and also to use the ruler to curve in the measurement of our bust that has also shifted in. And then I'm using permanent marker to make my lines more obvious, because now I am sure of the measurement I'm using, and I also readjusted the center front a little bit. Okay, now we can cut out our pattern because we have our center front and center back. Also note that our cup went up way higher than how it's supposed to be, because the person does not want their bust area to be revealing, and this will also affect how the kind of cup you will use. So for this, I'm going to be using a handmade cup, and I also use a ready-made cup inside. So I will show us how I'm going to do this, because this can only be achieved if you do your handmade cup, because using only the ready-made cup alone, it cannot cover up the cup area that we have drafted in, because this cup area we have drafted in is way too high and this is going to be covering the bust. Okay, meanwhile the ready-made cup in the market does not cover the bust. Now I'm going to join the two front pieces together and add an extension to create the basque effect. Okay, so the front piece is going to be one piece. It's not going to be, we have taken out the darts, and now we're going to cover up that dart line by using our tape to conceal it. And then I'm going to be adding an extra paper to extend the basque effect, because for this basque effect we want to add at least 4 inches for the basque effect. Meanwhile, let's cut out the back pattern as well, and also took out the back part. And for this corset, they are all going to be one piece, both the front and the back pieces. And so for our basque effect, I am adding extra fabric to the front pattern so that I can extend it by 4 inches. And so using my tape, I am going to be placing the draft we've made and place it on top of the plain paper and then tape it down. So I'm going to use my ruler to cut out this one. Just make sure that they are on a straight line so that you don't make any mistakes. And then I come down by 4 inches, and then I come in by like half an inch or 0.75 inches so that it will not be too pointy for the curve, for the basque we are doing. And then I use my curved ruler to smoothen it out, because I don't want it to be a pointy basque effect. Now the patterns are all complete, and as you can see, the back and the front are lined together. And so I am going to start transferring the patterns to fabric. Now the purpose of every corset dress is to accentuate your curves, to make your feminine features more obvious, and that is where our snatching comes in. So I'm taking out part of the measurement, and first of all I'm taking out 0.75 inch from the back piece, and that's the part that will be showing the lacing effect. And then I'm removing half an inch from the measurement. This is the actual snatching that I'm doing. Okay, the 0.75 inch is going to show. That one might not have to be covered completely, but this other 0.5 inches I've taken out, that's the waist snatching purpose. That one is the part that will be eliminated. Okay, so I'm taking out half an inch from the front and half an inch from the back. And so when the pattern is now opened up, it will mean that I've taken out 1 inch from the front and 1 inch from the back, which is a total of 2 inches removed from my waist measurement. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and cut out these pieces, and then I am going to transfer to fabric. And for this back piece, I want it to lay down perfectly, because I've taken out the dart, it's not relaxing, so I had to open it up, and this opening will not affect the measurement in any way. And here I want to cut out the sleeve. For the sleeve I'm using for this dress, the sleeve is going to have an elastic at the end and elastic at the beginning as well. And so what I'm doing is just cutting out the full, whatever is left in the fabric. I'm going to use everything, okay, so that it will give the volume that I want the sleeve to have. And I folded the fabric into 4, so that I've cut both sleeves together. I'm just going to go ahead and cut out a straight line, and for the armhole area, I will have to use the pieces of the main fabric to do it. I'm going to place the main fabric on it to cut out the same shape of the armhole so that it will align. Okay, I've transferred the patterns to fabric, and this is the cup area. For the sewing allowance for the cup, I added half an inch, and for the main bodies, I added 1 inch sewing allowance for the bodies, and then I added extra 1 inch on the lower part of the bodies. That's because I'm going to be cutting the lining piece to be 1 inch shorter than the main fabric. That way, when you fold it, sew it at the edge and turn it inside out, it is going to conceal the rough edges. Okay, that is the purpose of the extra 1 inch. So that 1 inch will be eliminated. Then I'm going to be cutting the lining piece to be 1 inch shorter than this, 1 inch shorter than this, so that when we join it together, it will reduce the length. Okay, and this is the basque effect, as you can see. All right, so I'm going to join this separately. After I put edge stay on it, cutting out the Warden piece without sewing allowance on the side here, only sewing allowance in the middle where we're going to be joining the Warden piece for the bustier. Okay, I'm going to join this one separately, the cup. Okay, I'm going to join the cup separately, and this is the cup. This cup is also going to be part of it. So after joining it, I will also put this cup inside. So I'm going to be double padding it. That's what it means. Okay. And so now I'm going to start sewing them. Okay, I'm going to start joining them. Join this one separately, and then join, like I'm already joining the lining piece. Look at it. This is how I'm going to sew it. And then I'm going to open it up and iron it, and open the seam line and iron it before we place the wording inside. And this is the manufacturer. I'm going to be putting stay on the body of this Ankara and iron it before I start creating my boning channels. Alright, and I'm going to also go ahead and sew this one. I'm going to put stay on it and sew it alone, you know, and sewing it by itself and then attaching the cup to it later on will help to reduce puffiness and the rumpleness around the cup area. So you join these ones together, and then you trim out the excess. Trim it out very close to the seam line. These are the excesses I trimmed out. Okay, so to reveal the cup like so. Now the other cup is going to sit in here. For the ready-made cup, you just go ahead and take out the darts. Okay, you can sew from 1/2 inch all the way to the center of the cup, and then when you turn it in, the cup is more curved in, and this is how I attach it to this other cup. See, I place it on it, and you smoothen it out, and you just sew it on that line to join them together. Now it's now one big cup, and it's fuller. It will give you more push-up effect, and if you want to also have extra push-up effect, which will be, you know, extra, like the word extra, you can cut out pieces of this particular one and glue it to the lower part of this cup. It is going to help to push the bust even higher. Okay, and so in this case where this part is looking like it came out more, I'm going to trim out those little spaces, and you can put hemming gum in between here and iron these together to make it one whole piece, or you can leave it like that. It is not going to be showing because it's going to be inside. So now we're going to go ahead and start sewing the main bodies of the cup. That's the fabric that we're going to use to turn it inside out. And so I've trimmed out the excess part on the armhole area, and this is what it looks, very clean. And I have ironed the lining piece, ironed it neatly, and it's giving. This is really clean and nice. And so attach the cups like this. See, I've attached the lining piece cup. Okay, the cup for the lining, I've attached it. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is top stitch this. I'm going to move the fabric this way, and I'll top stitch it on this. Okay, I will do it for the lining piece, and I'll also do it for the main fabric. Okay, so this is the fabric part. I've ironed stay on it, and I've joined it together, and this is the one I've ironed out. Okay, so I'm going to be attaching. Look at the inside, looking so clean. So when you're ironing it, you do well to also open up the seam line and iron it like so. Then this side of the seam for the cups, this side of the seam is the part you're going to be placing on the fabric. Okay, so now I want this place to, I have to push in this place in like this. I'm going to take this other one because this, look at the side I cut this way. This is the armhole, so I'm going to take this part and I'll place it in here, and I'm going to be ironing it together. And to keep this like this, as you can see, there are sewing allowances on the side, 1/2 inch sewing allowance that I'm going to be using to attach this to the bodies. So what I'm going to do now is to make sure this stays permanently like this, and to keep it together, I'm going to be putting hemming gum all around here to iron this on it. Okay, yeah, so these are cuts of hemming gum. I have placed it on the cup, and I've reversed the cup like so. And so I'm going to take this one and I'm going to push it in, and I'm going to place this here and iron it. Okay, so this is it. I've attached this one, so you can see they are now one, and you have to iron it neatly so that everything will align. And so this is it. So this is the effect. Now normally the ready-made cup will stop halfway like this, but because we had to add this one, you can see the magic in this. This one has extended the bust area, so all the bust area will be properly covered. This is going to give us more coverage. Okay, so the sewing allowance here is for turning over the fabric, and this is it. So I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other cup as well. And so next you're going to create your boning channels, and I've drawn out my line. This is going to be the center boning. This is where it's going to be, and then this is the, find the middle of your the bust opening, okay? And then that's where you are putting the first one. Another one is going to come all the way from there to this place, and this one here. Just repeat the same thing you've done here, and that is it. This is a design we are creating with the boning channels, okay? And then for the back pieces here, this line is just is a guide to tell me where I shouldn't go beyond. For the boning, I'm going to put one boning starting from here to stop somewhere around here. So we're going to have an opening here where the eyelet is going to be, and then from here I'm going to place another one. And then when I'm done placing these two here, I can now decide if I want to place maybe one more in the center here, and like that. So I'm going to be having like 3 bonings at the back, okay? So you can decide to create as many boning channels as you want. The number of bonings you put is going to determine how snatched the dress is going to be, because the boning is going to give you structure. You can attend our classes, our corset classes, to get in detailed explanations on how to make a corset dress and how to make proper well-cupped bustier and bust caging classes. And so if you're interested in those classes, you're going to be seeing. So these classes are available, and they are designed to improve your corset game, and they are all very affordable, and the videos are all downloadable. So do well to chat us on Instagram. So if you're interested in those classes, also do well to reach out to the phone number that's going to be in the description box, or send us a message on Instagram to join these classes, and you upgrade on your corset game, okay? So to attach our boning, we are going to be working with this Readymade boning. As you can see, this is the boning you can sew on. This is the kind of the boning that you can also sew on it alone without using a boning channel to sew it, okay? So you just sew on the lines that have been marked out for you where you can sew on. Alright, but since we are going to be using the Dullface to cover up our boning, this is what I'm going to do. So for this first line now, I want to sew here. I am going to be wrapping my boning on this, okay? You can wrap it on it and sew on here. Following the mark I have made, you're just going to go ahead and sew on the first line. After sewing, you turn it this way and top stitch on it to give you a neatly finished sewing, okay? Or you can also do it alone. Just fold your lining piece in half and sew exactly on the markings you've made. Just sew with 1/4 inch. You have to measure your boning channel. Your boning channel has to be able to cover the boning that you are putting on it, okay? So what I have here is 1.5 inch boning channel, and the boning I'm using is a 1/2 inch boning. So if you are folding it in half, so you have more than an inch here. So whatever you left after the half an inch, which is supposed to be 0.25, so you are going to be sewing the 0.25. so look at this, what we have here is 0.75. so when you sew the 0.25 out, what is left is going to be your 1/2 inch that will fit perfectly for the channel. So I'm going to go ahead and attach these ones first and sew this channel first down, and then I will show us how we're going to attach the boning. Okay, so here I've placed these ones. As you can see, I've placed the boning channels here and I've sewn it. For this middle one, I stopped halfway somewhere here because these ones have to be laid down first before this one will be on top of them, okay? This one is going to lay down first, and so will this, so that this one can now come on the top of them like this, okay? So that is why this is like this, okay? So and when I was cutting it, I cut it in this direction, which was wrong. I should have folded this way before cutting out the excess. You see the difference it's given. Now this is happening because of how I cut it. If I had cut it in the right way, it wouldn't have been giving this effect. All right, so next thing is for you to place the now, and look at this one as well. This one now this one has 3 channels here, and because of that, look at how I sew this one in this direction. It is going to go this way, and so this one in this direction, it will also go this way. So I'm going to iron this in this direction, and so I'm going to be placing the bonings on these channels. This one's first. I'm going to sew these ones first, before I will attach the one that is going to be in the middle. And then after laying down this one perfectly, I will now do the one in the center. Okay, and so I'm going to go ahead and iron it, and then I'm going to pass the channel boning inside the channel before I top stitch it. Okay, that is also going to help to make it stay firmly, because as you are sewing it, you are going to be sewing on top of the boning, but the boning will be inside the channel. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and iron this in the right directions, this one to this direction, this one to this direction, and like so. And then I am going to place the channels, the boning inside the channel, and top stitch it. All right, so I have ironed it. As you can see, it's looking better now. I've ironed it and I have directed it to the direction in which I want it to be. So now let me show you how we are going to be fixing in the boning. Let me show us how we're going to fix the channels, the bonings inside the channel. Okay, now I'm going to pass this in because I'm starting with this ones now, because I need these ones to go down before I can put the one in the middle. So I'm going to pass this. You have to just measure it, leaving half an inch at the top. You're going to measure what you have here and also mark out half an inch here, because you don't need this to get to the end so that it will not affect us when we're joining the cup here. And I'm also leaving half an inch at the end here for the hemming. Okay, so I'm going to cut out this place. So this is it. I'm going to take it out from here, and now I can pass this in. Can see now I can go ahead and top stitch on this. So top stitch very close to the tip and lay it down flat like so. That's how I'm going to attach this, and I'm going to put these other ones. So when I have laid down these two, I will now attach one here and fold down the middle. Do the same thing here before I can attach the one at the center. All right, now I'm going to do the same thing at this part too. I'm going to fix it in. Now I'm going to have to measure it as well, find out where the length I need will stop like so, and then I can cut it out and then fix in the boning, and also go ahead and top stitch on it. Okay, look at this, so clean. And here we are, look at how clean it came out, looking so clean. So now we're going to go ahead and complete the rest, and it came out really clean. So I'm going to go ahead and complete the rest, and I'll decide whether or not I want more channels at the back. And like I said, the more channels you add, the more structure you add to the dress. And this is the front, looking so clean. I've gone ahead to attach the channels for the middle parts after sewing the ones on the side. So let's go ahead and continue. And so I have used the lining piece to conceal the chest line, as you can see, and the hem as well. And while sewing this, I had to add hemming gum at the chest line and on the side like this, and also at the down part, so that when you iron it, it will lay perfectly. And so both of them are ready for us to create our eyelets. Okay, but I'm going to create the eyelets after I've finished up everything. So this is where I'm going to be putting the holes for my eyelets. Okay, I'm going to leave the link in the description on how I do my eyelets, because I may not be able to film this one. Okay, I'm kind of working this in a hurry, so I will leave the link. It's pretty easy to do, so long as you have the eyelet machine, everything is easy to achieve. Okay, so you do well to iron properly to keep it laying flat. Ironing is very important, and this is the front piece. I've also completed the boning channels, and I have ironed it a little bit, and it's time to attach the cup. So I'm going to start sewing the cup from one end to the other. Okay, you can place it in the center and start joining it from one center to the other end, but I'm going to start back from one end, and when I'm done, I'm going to top stitch it the way I did on the lining piece. I'm going to top stitch the cup area to keep it laying flat and to give it more structure like this. Okay, so I have attached the cups. I've attached the cups, and this is how it looks from the outside. I am yet to top stitch it though. And this is it from the back. I'm going to top stitch this to lay it perfectly. So let's top stitch. I'm going to top stitch it, and then I'm going to sew the top and conceal this. And as you can see, I've top stitched it, and look at the structure it gives that place. It helps to really push out the cup. So please do not skip this part. Always remember to top stitch the cup area. Now I'm going to use the lining piece to conceal the chest line, and when I'm done, I'm also going to sew the hem Okay, I'm going to conceal the chest line and sew the hem as well, because the main fabric is longer than the lining piece. That is going to help to give this neat finishing when we're done. So here we have done it. I have concealed it. Look at how clean that place looks, and this is the purpose of making your main fabric longer than the lining piece. And so this is the part for I'm going to be attaching to the front. This is the sleeve. It's time to sew the sleeve. I'm going to fold in here twice, like half an inch twice, so we can pass elastic through it. And I'll do the same thing for the hem. Okay, and I use the armhole of the front piece of the main fabric. So I used here to shape this part, left out this part that I'm going to be putting the elastic, because it's going to be folded in like so. So when you join it, it now becomes one. And then I use the part of the back to do the part that will stay at the back. Okay, so here I have attached the elastic bands at the edges. This is the part I'm going to be attaching to the bodies of the dress, and so it's time to attach it. Okay, so I have attached it and attached the sleeve, and now I want to sew the sides. And now I'm going to sew the sides, and this dress will be ready. And this is it. I'm going to go ahead and weave this place using the overlocking machine, and we're going to see how it looks. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the eyelets. I'm going to leave the link in the description on how I attach my eyelets. I may not be able to film this one, so you can see how I do my eyelets. It came out really nice. And so guys, if at this point you have not subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? Like seriously, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button and like this video so that you get notified whenever I drop new videos and new content. See you in my next sewing tutorial, guys. Bye. I've weaved the edges. Do well to do this to keep your work very clean. Okay, and this is our eyelet. So clean.